Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
This is a catastrophe.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
That's what I wished for when I blew out my candle.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
The floor is yours.
Hour 2, Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Half that work week officially in the rearview mirror. We're working towards the weekend. Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Juwan Johnson headed to the transfer portal. We'll talk about it in 15 minutes. LSU's got an offensive line coach. We'll talk about that as well. J.D. Pickell talking all things national college football storylines at the bottom of hour number 2. I told you at the top of the show that we were going to get into some LSU baseball today, and promise delivered here as we're going to do it now. Generally speaking, last week is the week that I get into that when the football season ends and you start to kind of look towards a bowl game that's really far away and that you don't know anything about yet. And it just wasn't going to work out because National Signing Day was last week and LSU just hired a football coach. So, absolutely no chance I was going to get into a lot of baseball last week. Y'all know me. Y'all know I would like to. I'm not a clown. I'm not going to do that when it's one of the most newsworthy weeks that I've ever covered in LSU athletics on the radio. So last week, not a good week. This week is a very good week for it. LSU basketball is completely off. The students are in finals. Football, the signing class is in the rearview mirror. Portal's not completely open yet. We're not going to talk about LSU Houston right now. It's a good spot to get into a little bit of baseball. So I made some calls. I had some discussions with some folks in the LSU baseball program and kind of gleaned a lot, really, about what went on in the fall. And I want to, before we get into this discussion full-fledged, be very clear with y'all because I do this every year. What is true on December the 9th is not necessarily even close to true on April 21st. There is a long way to go through this process. I'm strictly reacting to some track records and to about 5-6 weeks of baseball that didn't count. So keep in mind, this time last year, Anthony Ianson was not right at the top of the list of LSU starting pitchers. This time last year, Cade Anderson was, but wasn't Cade Anderson yet. 2 years ago at this point, Stephen Milam was nowhere near the starting lineup. He became your most impactful hitter in the regional on a team that had Tommy White and Jared Jones as a true freshman. So you realize that there's a long way to go here. And a lot of this stuff is not going to carry over into the spring, and a lot of it will. But you realize what you're getting into when you discuss a lot of fall baseball. So as long as we've got that caveat out of the way, I'll tell you kind of what I learned. There is basically only one spot on the entire defense that's kind of in flux right now. Cade Arambiti's the catcher. Zach York's the first baseman. Stephen Milam is the shortstop. Trent Caraway is the third baseman. And then from left to right in the outfield is Chris Stanfield, Derek Curiel, and Jake Brown. It would, at this point, surprise me a little bit if that didn't hold. It could not. They start practice this January 10th, and if they go for 4 weeks and somebody wins a corner infield spot that's not Trent Caraway or Zach York, that's possible. Right now, that feels very, very likely. York is a better defender than I probably thought when I watched him move around a little bit. He's got a big 6'2" frame, really big, and he's not going to be a Gold Glover over there, but he can move okay. And Trent Caraway from Oregon State at third base has really played good defense since coming over. Now, he's going to be one of these guys that Jay Johnson's going to have to do his transfer portal magic on to unlock a different level of his offensive game, because despite the fact that he hit the most home runs in the history of Oregon State baseball in a single postseason, which is saying a lot based on the teams they've had the last 15 years, he had a bad year last year. He had a bad year. He hit 6 home runs. Then he hit 5 in the regional and 1 more beyond that in the postseason. But he had a bad year. They're going to do an overhaul in his offensive game. But he's proving that he can handle third base. And this is something I talk about all the time. Third base defense in college can be a problem for teams because just about everybody at the highest level has a slick fielding shortstop. You can hide somebody at second, throw somebody in left field, it's fine. But third base, sometimes you try to hide somebody there, the ball will find you, and you will make errors at third base. And Caraway has done a good job defensively at third base. So that's a good thing. And I don't expect Caraway to be asked to hit second or third on this team. I think Caraway's a bottom half of the order guy. But there's huge upside there. He was a big-time recruit coming out of California. He showed some of the pop that can show up when he was at Oregon State. He's got to put it all together, and Jay Johnson's the guy to make that happen. But the point being, like, all those places are pretty well solidified. Second base is the only one up for grabs right now. And so you've got an option where Seth Dardar comes in from Kansas State. Braden Simpson comes in from High Point. Both those guys had huge offensive years last year. And then Tanner Reeves is back as well, who did not play defense well at third base last year and lost his job because of it, and Braswell had to take over. But he's been much better at second base, where I think it's an easier position to play. So those three guys are probably going to see a lot of at-bats early on. The DH spot is very available to them as well for continued at-bats. But I think those three guys are going to duke it out for second base in the DH spot, and you're going to see a lot of early at-bats for those guys. The guy I want to focus on of that whole group, and we did a little bit on Caraway, Cade Arambidi led LSU in hitting in the fall. He hit well over 400. Derek Curiel was second. Cade Arambidi was first, and that is an incredible development. And the LSU staff is really comfortable with Cade's progress here. He was a big draft risk coming out of Houston. And then he got to LSU, and you were able to ease him in behind Luis Hernandez. He got some starts. He played in over 30 games. He got 80 at-bats, or plate appearances, I should say. And he got his feet wet. And then he went off to the Cape and got some more at-bats, and he got some more at-bats in the fall. And now the tools that he brings to the table are really starting to show up. And I think that's an awesome thing. He is as toolsy a catcher as LSU has had in a very long time. And it showed up in the fall. Now, it's got to translate to the spring. And I don't think he's going to hit 450 in the spring. But he's comfortable in the box now. And this is against LSU's staff. This is not all just fun and games against walk-ons. Like, he's facing LSU pitching, swinging the bat really well. So that's an exciting thing for Cade Arambidi. The other piece to this is, and I addressed this in a What If, I think, 2 weeks ago. The internet abuzz on Derek Curiel, and he got hurt, and he broke his ankle. Derek Curiel's fine, okay? Derek Curiel will be completely fine when they come back from Christmas. A little bit of a tweak of the ankle in the weight room. It's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. He'll be fine first week of January to get going. So that's a look kind of at the position player side of things. Pitching is where I think the most question marks loom, because I told you that I think 7 of the 8 positions on the diamond, aside from pitcher, the 7 of the 8 are pretty well settled right now. Could change, but settled right now. So what about starting pitching? It's a question I get all the time from LSU fans, like, who's the starting rotation? Well, Kason Evans is the Friday night guy. He's first up. Brilliant year last year. Shut it down for the summer after a big workload. He's up and ready to roll. Who's behind him? Well, there's a group right now. And this is very much subject to change because there's talent beyond this group. But this is the group right now that they're looking at. Cooper Moore was Kansas's ace last year. Does LSU want Cooper Moore to be its ace this year? No. Probably not a Friday guy right now in the SEC. Saturday? Yeah. Sunday? Absolutely. He's a high floor guy. A little bit undersized, 6'1", right-handed, not going to throw 97, but pitch mix, has gotten outs in the power 4, had a strikeout to walk ratio of 4.5 to 1 last year as a starter at Kansas. High floor, Cooper Moore. Zach Cowan, same type deal. Started at Wofford, was their ace. Can he pitch in the SEC? Yeah, he proved it last year. But he's not going to throw 98. He's 5'11". So it's a high floor there. But where's the ceiling on those guys? Not astronomically high. And that's my concern a little bit with this roster. If there's one thing that I can try to nitpick at, it's like, okay, where is the high ceiling? Where is Jump Holman? Where is Anderson Ianson? It's a high bar to clear every year. But if you're going to see that, William Schmidt is probably going to have to plug in there behind Kason Evans. Now, Schmidt threw a ton of strikes this fall. He was up to 99 miles an hour. He was sitting comfortably 96, 97. What they're working on with William Schmidt is that he right now is really good with the fastball and the slider. He can throw those 2 pitches. What about the curveball? What about the changeup? What about the soft pitches? You got to be able to get SEC hitters off balance where there's enough variability between the fastball and the true off-speed stuff you throw that's not the hard slider. And like the last time I saw William Schmidt this fall, he struck out 6 guys in 2 innings, okay? So the stuff is there. But he's got to put it all together, and he's got to work on those softer pitches. And then you've got Cooper Williams, who's another guy that I don't know what the ceiling is on Cooper Williams. But I saw him get big outs in the postseason for LSU last year as a freshman. So the question is, can he go 6 innings as a number 2 starter? Or is he better served going through 9 hitters? everybody sees him once. Remains to be seen. But right now, behind Evans, Cooper Moore, Zach Cowens, William Smith, Cooper Williams, those are the guys. 2 Coopers, William Schmidt, and Zach Cowan. But you've got where you have indecision at starting pitcher. And I have some concern about the starting pitcher because it's not proven, and I'm looking for a little more upside. The upside comes in the bullpen, okay? They believe, the LSU staff, people I talk to over there, that you'd like to shorten games with your starting pitcher. They get you through 6 or 7 innings. And now you've shortened it where you only got to get 6 or 9 more outs. What if you shortened it from the back end? This is what they're looking at early in the season right now. Because you look at the talent in this bullpen. You look at Devin Sheeran, who was throwing 97, striking everybody out, 6'5", 245. First word that came out of the conversation I had yesterday's mouth was awesome. He looks great and healthy. Marcos Paz, freshman, already 20 pounds heavier than Kason Evans, 6'2" right-hander, throwing 98 miles an hour. But he's coming off of surgery from Tommy John. He'll be 18 months removed when they start the season. He's not a candidate in February and March to throw 5 or 6 innings. He's a candidate to throw 1 or 2. And he can do that emptying the tank, and he can be awesome in that role, just diesel. You already know about Maverick Rizzi, who's 6'9" and throwing 98 miles an hour. Joe Healy, who we have on during baseball season, said, the best inning I saw in the Cape this year was Maverick Rizzi. A name I wasn't expecting to hear, Grant Fontenot, who has always been talented. He came to LSU out of high school, threw hard, went to Texas when he transferred. Now back, like I said, well, what? I mean, he hasn't really done anything. Like, why him? And what I was told was some guys mature at different levels. Some guys find it a little bit later. Some guys develop a little bit later. They love what they saw from Grant Fontenot, who throws hard. And then you've got Gavin Guidry, who to me looks like a different guy. I saw him twice in the fall, and he's not going to throw 97 miles an hour. But he was throwing 4 pitches when I saw him, and I confirmed that yesterday. And the fastball is still 92, 93, but he's got that good breaking ball. He's got a second breaking ball that he was throwing, and he was featuring a changeup, which he did not throw 2 years ago. So right there, that's Sheeran, Paz, Rizzi, Fontenot, Guidry. That's 5 guys that they feel really good about. And I haven't even gotten to Jaden Newt, who, oh, by the way, last year in SEC games had 12 strikeouts against 2 walks with an opposing batting average of 194. That's depth in the LSU bullpen. And you're going, well, those guys are all right-handed, and they are. But you've got Santiago Garcia from Oregon. You've got Ethan Plog from junior college. The staff loves those 2 guys as lefty matchup guys out of the bullpen. And that doesn't even mention Danny Lockenmeyer and DJ Primo, who's back. So you do have 4, veteran left-hand options to go with all these bullets in the back end of the bullpen. The bullpen's the strength right now of this team in terms of the upside. So in totality with this team right now, and I haven't gotten to everything, I thought Omar Cerna looked really impressive as a true freshman slugger. I think Mason Braun has a chance to be a really good player at LSU, who's a freshman from South Bend. But when you look at this team, big picture, what do we learn from the fall? Second base is kind of the only place that's a little bit up for grabs right now. Starting pitching, there are options there. The upside might be a little bit low on some of them, but you do have options. And then where you're trying to work through your starting pitching, the bullpen needs to come in and be a force early until you can get your footing on the ground with what you're going to be from a pitching perspective. That's kind of a big picture look at where things are with this LSU baseball team as they exit the fall. They'll take a few weeks off. It's finals week this week. Most of the guys are already gone home, I'm told. And so they'll come back second week of January, and they'll get to it. And we'll get things cranked up second week of February for some LSU baseball. If you want to read more with some numbers, some more quotes from my conversations with LSU baseball, you can do that for free on the homepage at louisianasports.net right now. Free preview of everything that I kind of talked about there, and even a little bit more on this LSU baseball team. I know y'all want it. I got access to the numbers of the clicks on the website. I know what clicks are good and what clicks is not a great story. The baseball story's done really well, not surprisingly, this morning as I put it up at 8 o'clock. So I know y'all are out there looking for some LSU baseball, and there's a little bit for you there. Let's get back to football. LSU had a running back at the transfer portal. I'll tell you who coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is that website. I've been telling you for months with the Highland Insurance Group about their property and casualty department, which is phenomenal. They will absolutely help you with that if you're a business and looking for P&C. But they also are in the business of helping businesses with their benefits. with your health insurance. It's very important for businesses, as you know, if you're a business owner, because you got to acquire talent, you got to retain talent, and the benefits are a big piece of that. And if you're with a certain carrier that Jonathan was telling me about 2 weeks ago, where the rates are going up and up and up and up, you might be looking for a change. And if you're just looking for a second option because your renewal on your benefits continues to skyrocket, talk to the Highland Insurance Group. They've got options. They're an independent broker, so it can reach more carriers. It can reach more companies that are willing to help you work through your benefits, and they got a great team of experts over there at the Highland Insurance Group. So if you are a business owner and you're not comfortable with your renewal, reach out to the Highland Insurance Group. They're here in Baton Rouge. You can find them online at highlandig.com. It's the Highland Insurance Group, highlandig.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Wednesday show is brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Invite you to check out some of their work at builtbyrenaissance.com. Beauty working with Renaissance Homes and Pools is you work with a local company. That's the beauty. You work with my guy, Joey Blanchard. He's done it for dozens and dozens of folks around the Baton Rouge area, and he's happy to do it for you. You work with him every step of the way. Joey's there for the initial consultation. He's there for the design. He's there for the digging of the pool. He's there for the filling of the pool. He's there for the finish of the pool. So you know that you're working with somebody who's invested in what's going on in your backyard because he owns the company. Small business, it's a Baton Rouge-based business, and they're happy to put you in the pool of your dreams. Infinity Edge, cocktail pool, whatever you're looking for, the folks at Renaissance Homes and Pools can do it for you. And I want to remind you, just because it's wet and dreary outside right now doesn't mean it's not a great time to start the process of getting into a pool so that it's ready to go by the time the weather heats up again in the spring. So contact them at builtbyrenaissance.com, builtbyrenaissance.com. All right, LSU had another transfer portal reported entry today, and I think these are going to be coming fast and furious. That's just the nature of the sport, especially when you got a coaching change. And so none of them are jarring to me when they happen, and this one certainly was not. Juwan Johnson is looking for a new home. He'll enter the transfer portal, according to Matt Zenitz of CBS Sports. I want to give a lot of credit to Juwan Johnson because Juwan Johnson did whatever LSU asked of him for 2 years. He came in as a 4-star recruit, the most accomplished high school football player in the history of the state of Louisiana in terms of total yards and touchdowns. And they said, okay, Juwan, you played quarterback at LCA. I want you to come play the star. I want you to play right behind Major Burns at practice. And Juwan Johnson came in and played the star. And then 2 weeks into the season, John Emery tore his ACL. And Trey Holly was gone. And they looked around and they had no numbers at running back. And they said, Juwan, need you to go play running back. So he said, okay. And he went and played running back. He played running back all year. And then got to spring football. And you were a little bit light on numbers at quarterback. Bryce Underwood didn't come. You didn't get one in the high school class. It's kind of Garrett Nussmeier and Michael Van Buren. We need you to play quarterback, Juwan. Got to play quarterback. And so Juwan Johnson went and played quarterback and worked with the quarterbacks. We watched him in all of spring practice, and he was working with the quarterbacks. And then said, hey, it's fall now. Juwan, I think we need you to play running back again. And he went and played running back again. It's like the Michael Scott thing. Snip, 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 snip. And he just kept going back. And he did it with bells on. And Juwan Johnson never really found a true position here at LSU. He played 25 games. In 25 games, he had 45 carries for 165 yards and 2 touchdowns. He caught 22 passes for 94 yards and another touchdown. That was in the game the first week he was playing running back. He came in and caught a touchdown pass. And he completed a 14-yard pass earlier this year. So you look at his path here, and he never got to really hone in and focus on one thing. And I think an athlete as gifted as he is could excel if given the opportunity to do that. And Juwan Johnson told us in media availability earlier this fall that, hey, I want to play running back. I want to be a running back. And he got some of those opportunities, but like Caden Durham is going to take precedence there, and Harlan Berry wrestled away his lion's share of the reps, and all of a sudden there just wasn't a lot left for Juwan Johnson. And Caden Durham still got 2 years of eligibility left. Harlan Berry still got 3 years of eligibility left. So they're in front of Juwan Johnson, assuming they stay, which is a big assumption, for the rest of his career here. So he's going to look elsewhere, and I don't blame him for that at all. It wouldn't surprise me if he went to a lower level and played quarterback. Wouldn't surprise me if he caught on at a Power 5 team and became a really good running back, because he's got great size. He knows what to do with the football, good athlete, but he's leaving. Reportedly into the transfer portal. So what does that leave LSU with at running back? Well, I mentioned you've got Caden Durham and you've got Harlan Berry. And you've got Caleb Jackson, who's on the roster right now. But Caleb Jackson didn't play in 4 games this year and hasn't played in 2 months. And, I don't know anything about Caleb Jackson. I'm not reporting. I'm just speculating and just surveying the situation. Would it surprise anyone if Caleb Jackson got in the transfer portal? I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. He's been at LSU for 3 years. He didn't play a lot. I mean, he didn't play the 2/3 of the year in his 3rd year on campus here at LSU. So LSU, if Caleb Jackson were to leave and Juwan Johnson decides to leave, you got 2 scholarship running backs and you don't have one in your signing class. So you've got real work to do in the transfer portal at running back. But I have good news. You have a lot of talent in Caden Durham and Harlan Berry, and you've got a coach who has piloted as productive a running attack as there has been in the Southeastern Conference over the last 5 seasons. Last year, they weren't great running it, and that's probably what held him back. But the years prior to that, I mean, he's led the SEC in rushing. This is an Ole Miss team that has finished in top 5 in the country in rushing. So I don't think it's going to be difficult for Lane Kiffin to target and acquire a running back in the transfer portal. This is a really attractive place to come in terms of the efficiency with which Lane Kiffin teams run the ball. Now, what is this LSU offensive line going to be? I don't know. Is Harlan Berry going to be here? I don't know. Is Caden Durham going to be here? I don't know. Is Frank Wilson going to be here? I don't know. There are a lot of uncertainties that surround this. And I don't want anybody that's jumping in their car to go, wait a second, Harlan Berry and Caden Durham are transferring? I did not say that. Every single player on LSU's roster is a what if for next year to me. All of them. Every single player in that program is a what if to me until they're not. So that's why I put Caden Durham and Harlan Berry in the what if there. All of them are. But this is an attractive place to come run the football with that offensive mind. They've got to beef it up on the offensive line, and they've got to get running backs in the program. But I think LSU will run the ball, and I think they'll do just fine from that perspective. I just, again, hat tipped at Juwan Johnson for what he did. He was asked to do a lot of different things, none of which was super conducive to his development as a football player, specifically for the next level. But he always did it. And to us, told us he was happy to do it. He didn't ask to sit out in red shirt. He played in every game. He produced when he was asked to. And now he'll look elsewhere to play his college football. So the transfer portal, going to be a lot of news over the next 2 weeks. We know that. Juwan Johnson made the announcement today. He is headed into the transfer portal. He'll look elsewhere. The Louisiana all-time leader in high school total yards and touchdowns. So let's take a time out. Talk to J.D. Pickell of On 3 next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. I was talking to David just a couple of weeks ago, and he mentioned something they see a good bit of. If this sounds familiar and you don't really like it, well, we can make a phone call. You walk into your bathroom, and there's a standalone shower, and then you've got a huge jacuzzi-style tub next to it. And, you spend a lot of time in the standalone shower, but it's getting up there in age, and you never go into the jacuzzi-style tub. It just takes a ton of room up in your bathroom. Well, make some changes. David Duvall and his team at One Bath and Closets have the ability to transform that space. They can take out that standing shower and put in a linen closet, and then they can take out that tub and put in a walk-in shower, and they're perfectly equipped and insured to do that, to install plumbing and to take out plumbing, and they can handle your floor work as well and all the vanities. They can transform your bathroom. So if you're not happy with the functionality or the look of your current bathroom, your house is 30 years old or so and hasn't been redone since it's built, talk to David Duvall in One Bath and Closets. Get that free consultation. It doesn't cost you anything. Chat with them about what they can do for you. It's One Bath and Closets. You can find them online at onebathandclosets.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Failure happens to us all, but it's how champions evolve. The only thing that matters from a loss is if you get back up when you fall. You gotta get up.
Chugging along here, Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Always our pleasure to chat with our guy, JD Pickell, host of the Hard Count on 3 Sports. You can find him on YouTube, wherever you find your podcast. College football all year long, and no better time than the college football playoff, which is about to start cranking up here. JD, how we doing?
Doing well, man. Doing well. It's always that interesting part of the year where it's mostly just the sickos that are dialed in. Like, I think the college football playoff runway is something that I think we're still perfecting when it comes to conference title games and then lead time before the playoff and all that. So, like, I think we lose some people in the lull, but the sickos, they're locked in. They're all the way locked in.
What'd
so
you learn? Yeah, for sure. What'd you learn conference championship weekend on the field?
I learned that, I want to make sure I say this the correct way. I think Georgia's going to win the national championship, and that was bolstered by conference title weekend in my estimation. I think Indiana is probably right now the best team in college football, given what the ranking is and also what we saw new to Ohio State. But I don't know if you feel this way. It feels a little bit to me like Indiana, if they played that game with Ohio State 10 times, maybe they'd split, and they're going to have to probably play Oregon a second time. I like Georgia's chops. I like the way they're trending. The fact we got to see them play a team they lost to early on in the year in the conference title game and blow the doors off them speaks to the growth. I think Georgia's trending up. I think everyone else is fighting to reset. I learned that Georgia is going to be a freaking wagon in the playoff. I think they're going to win the whole thing.
Ohio State, any concern there or just not enough?
It's just not enough. That was the first time that I think you could point to some of the inexperiences maybe showing themselves for Ohio State. A lot of new pieces. We talked about that ad nauseum this year. I'm not concerned about Ohio State so much as I just think they kind of lost some of those competitive plays that win you football games, and that's kind of what it comes down to. Like if that field goal goes through, or if they convert on that 4th and 1 on the sneak, the game's probably a little bit different. I think the one thing that makes me a touch uneasy if I'm a Buckeye fan is that is the second week in a row now where you've played 2 good line of scrimmage football teams, and both of them ran for over 100 yards against you. Now, the defense still allowed 13 points, so, it's hard to say Ohio State's got massive problems. But I feel a little bit like, hey, you get on the same field as a Georgia, who you would have to be on the same field as, and it's on my final game, more than likely. I don't love the way that shapes up matchup-wise. So I don't think less of Ohio State, but I think if I'm looking at potential matchups for them, I don't feel as good about them as maybe I would have a couple weeks ago.
All right, let's talk about the selection. What you think about Miami and Notre Dame and Alabama?
Alabama ever being a question to me, Hunt? I don't know if you feel this way. I think that was always just hilarious to begin with. I think SEC bias is real to a degree. I think as real as SEC bias is, I think anti-SEC bias is a real thing. And I get it. I grew up in Georgia for a part of my childhood, and people barking at you is weird and annoying. So I totally get it. But I think there was this narrative that Bama lost to Georgia so badly, so therefore Bama should be out. A lot of the people conveniently shouting that at the top of their lungs were the same people shouting a year ago, before a snap had even been played of the ACC title game between Clemson and SMU, that no matter what, SMU, they should be in because, quote unquote, the games have to matter. So Bama should have always been in. That was always, I think, not even a discussion in my mind. The Miami Notre Dame thing, I get where we're at, and I think that the structure itself is what I would blame if I was Notre Dame when it comes to JMU and Tulane getting a spot ahead of us. It is what it is. But the head-to-head, when those teams are that close, Miami's got to be in. And so I know it hurts, and I know it's weird how it was handled if you're a Notre Dame fan, being as high as you were in the rankings until the very last ranking. That's a very weird thing to have happen. It's probably not. It probably should have happened earlier. Hunt is my take on that, obviously. But yeah, I think the right thing happened for both sides of this.
What do you think about the media blitz from Pete Bevekwa just going nuts that everybody that'll listen that they've gotten cheated out of it and the ACC hates them and that they got to change everything about the college football playoff?
Yeah, I think we're mad at the wrong people there probably. Like hey, beat A&M or beat Miami.
Yep.
And then, I have this discussion, So I get it. I think everyone's got a safe face and everyone's got allegiances. And, legitimately, it's probably his job to find a reason. It's probably his job to be upset. It probably hurts his bottom line that it happened the way it happened. But, I don't read too much into it, to be honest here. I will say this. When they go back to renegotiate the next college football playoff format, Notre Dame and Pete Bavacqua are leaving with some guarantees, and I think that's pretty safe to say. So I don't think we'll find ourselves in this situation again. I think Notre Dame will have some verbiage there that guarantees them a spot so long as they are within that top 12.
Boise State got a bye last year, and we made changes. Now we've got Tulane and JMU both in the field. Are more changes coming?
Oh, 100%. 100%. There'll be 3 changes, and I'll try to be efficient with these.
Yes. 1,
we're going to 16. There's too many teams with big brands and important people in charge are going to lobby and say, hey, why were we not included? We need to expand this playoff. And the people that can make money will say, yeah, you're right. Let's have more games, make more money, let's have more inventory, and we'll go from there. Second change will be what we just said a second ago. The G5 is going to have the loophole closed on getting more than one team in. It will be one G5 team in. Other auto bids are assigned to other conferences. And G5, thanks for having 2 teams last year. That was fun, but that was on us, not on y'all for being a top 5 or having 2 of the highest ranked conference champions. So that loophole will be closed. Third change we're going to see, it pains me, but I think we're going to see the death of conference title games. I think if you're Georgia or Alabama, you're like, why the heck do we beat the crap out of each other for 3 hours? And now we got to go play at a college football playoff. That doesn't make a ton of sense. Even with a bye, it doesn't make a ton of sense through Georgia. So I think we'll see play-in games for more than likely 2 spots for the Big Ten and the SEC, and then maybe 1 spot for the ACC and the Big 12. But it'll be 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5. That's the next change that I think we'll see. So those 3 changes for the future of the playoff, I think, starting next year, Hunt.
We'll get into matchups next week. That's probably not the time for it right now. So I'm curious your thoughts on Penn State's process and result getting Matt Campbell.
Feels like it was a half-court buzzer beater, huh? We're sitting here talking about Penn State's job and who they're going to hire and should they have fired James Franklin. And lo and behold, if they had hired Matt Campbell when everyone was hiring their head coach on that Sunday, would anyone have batted an eye and said, man, Penn State, that's a weird hire, man. You guys really got the second choice there for you. Now I think Matt Rule and Signetti are probably, choices 1A and 1B, but you landed Matt Campbell. I think that's a pretty good get, honestly. So if they had gone with the interim, I wouldn't have loved that for them. That would have felt like a swing and a miss in relation to just what Penn State is as a brand, who they should be able to go hire. So I think Matt Campbell is a good hire when it comes to splash. I also think he's a good hire when it comes to setting the floor of Penn State football. Iowa State was not anything to even mention in the world of college football before Matt Campbell. And so the way he elevated them, I like the fact that he is after a national title himself. It's why you go to a job like Penn State, and it's why you hire Matt Campbell if you're Penn State. You're trying to hire the next hungry dog. So I think it was an overall, to not be super vanilla about this, but I think it was a pretty solid hire.
All right, how do you feel about the Heisman Trophy? You feeling Mendoza's going to win it, and should he?
I think he's going to win it, to answer what you just said right there. I think Diego Pavia is the best player in college football. Now, this is a show that is reaching, I'm sure, many folks with SEC fanhood, so This is not just to cater to the audience, but I will say this. I personally was lower on Diego Pavia when it came to the Heisman stuff for the majority of the season. The reason being, I was holding my breath, waiting for somebody during conference title weekend to grab the trophy by the throat and say, I'm the freaking guy. And the Big Ten title game happened, and Mendoza didn't do it for me. There was nobody in any of the other title games that, would be in that position to go take it. And so I zoomed out, did some self-reflecting, and I'm like, man, I think the Heisman moment for Diego Pavia wasn't in one specific Saturday snapshot like we're used to. It was the fact that he made Vanderbilt football 10-2. That statement itself is wild 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Vanderbilt football 10-2, the quarterback they have running that show and the way that he's elevated that football team, I think he is very much so deserving of the number one player in the country. And I think if I were giving out the Heisman, he would be the one that would receive it.
All right, last one. Take out the top 4 seeds. So take out Indiana, Ohio State, Georgia, and Texas Tech. Who of the teams that have to play in the first round do you think could legitimately win the national championship if there is one?
I think it's Oregon. Like, I think
Okay.
Oregon's actually going to play for the national championship, and that's not just because they're the next highest seed. Like, I think they are so complete, and they similar to what we've talked about with teams flying under the radar. Like, Oregon, at one point in time after Penn State, were like, hey, are they a top 3 team in college football? There was a conversation we had at one point, Hunt, where it was like, hey, would you take Ohio State, Miami, or Oregon, or the field for a national championship? Like, that was a conversation we had over the course of this season, and we've just kind of all dismissed it since they lost to Indiana. I think Dante Moore is like Diet Cam Ward in my estimation. I think Dan Lanning is a psychopath, and more importantly, he is a fixer. I would be shocked if we saw them look lackluster in round 1 or 2 of the playoff game, and then they'd be in a spot there if they beat Texas Tech after beating JMU, where they set themselves up with a rematch against Indiana. And it's hard to beat a team twice, to put that simply. So I think Oregon's going to play for a national championship, and I feel really good about what they have in-house.
We'll talk about matchups next week. Have a great weekend. Thanks, JD.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate you, man. Have a great one.
You too. JD Pickell, host of The Hard Count on 3 Sports, wherever you find your college football content, whether it's YouTube, podcast pages, The Hard Count. JD does an awesome job there. All right, let's come back and close it out next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Renaissance Homes and Pools. Renaissance Homes and Pools. If you're looking to get into the pool of your dreams, contact my guy, Joey Blanchard. I give you his phone number every single week. It's the owner of the company's phone number. That's who you get. That's who you're going through. Not a call center, not somebody who's got to check up the horn and then come back to you to set things up. No, it's Joey. It's his cell. It's 225-252-7745. 225-252-7745. You call Joey. You set up that consultation. He talks to you about what they can do for you, whether it's your pool, your outdoor kitchen, that entertaining area that you've always wanted to have. Make it a reality before the springtime. Contact Joey at that number or at builtbyrenaissance.com and start that design process. It's exciting. It's exhilarating. It's fun. It can be overwhelming at times. That's why you work with the owner of the company to work through it. The software that he's got that can be to scale, show you exactly what that pool is going to look like, is just incredible. He showed it to me when we were meeting a couple months ago. Go see some of their work at builtbyrenaissance.com. Contact Joey and get started on the pool or the outdoor kitchen of your dreams. He's done it for dozens and dozens and dozens of folks around the Baton Rouge area. He can do it for you next. It's Renaissance Homes and Pools, builtbyrenaissance.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Nice hire by the Tennessee Vols. Josh Heupel. Looks like he's going to hire Jim Knowles as the offensive coordinator there on Rocky Top. Knowles was the Ohio State defensive coordinator 2 years ago, was the Penn State defensive coordinator this past year, and now looks like he's heading to Knoxville to be the Tennessee Vols defensive coordinator. Knowles has been very, very good wherever he's been. Oklahoma State before all that had some really good defenses there in Stillwater. So nice hire by Josh Heupel, obviously trying to marry the offense and the defense. He's always got a really dynamic offense, whether they're leading the conference in passing like they did this year, or lead the conference in rushing like they did a year ago. But you got to stop somebody, and Tim Beck's defense didn't do it this past year, so they've moved on. They will hire Jim Knowles as defensive coordinator. I put together a hot board for LSU's defensive coordinator, assuming Blake Baker would take the Tulane job, and Knowles was on there. So good hire by Tennessee. We'll see how that all works out on Rocky Top. All right, let's close it out with a little take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it. Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Flight by Yingling is the next generation of light beer. It is delicious. It is light. What else are you looking for in a light beer? Delicious and light. That's it. They got it for you there. If you're going to pick up a pack the coming days for the weekend, pick up Flight by Yingling. It is the next generation of light beer.
Okay, so the Chicago Bears are set to host the Cleveland Browns on Sunday.
Yes.
The Chicago forecast calls for frigid temperatures, if you want to call this frigid, where the highs is expected to be just 10 degrees and the low will be 0 degrees, with the winds reaching 14 miles per hour to make it the wind chill expected to be around negative 20 degrees. Should football be played in this weather? Take it or leave it.
Leave it.
Just leave it alone.
They call it bear weather in Chicago. They love it.
Ooh-wee.
They take pride in it. They're idiots, of course, because that's not fit for human activity in any way.
Anyway.
I've been in Chicago in April. It's like 40 and windy. It hurts your bones there. And I will not be at the Bears-Browns game on Sunday, and I can't believe any human would go to do that. It's going to be miserable, and they need to put a dome in their next stadium when they build it in Arlington Heights. They won't, but they should.
Yeah, negative 20 degrees is inhumane. I don't know. You can give me a couple million, I might go out there and go play a football game.
Oh, let's drill down on that.
Yeah,
To go to that game, Bears, Browns, you sit there, whole game. In what you're wearing right now.
Ooh-wee.
I don't need you in ski gear. In what you're wearing right now. I'll give you $150 for beer on me.
Okay, so all right, I get to buy beer though.
Yes.
But I have to wear just a hoodie and sweats.
That's right. At this game, negative 20 wind chill.
Ooh.
I will give you $10,000 to do it.
Damn, 10 bands to change my life right now.
Are you doing it?
For 10 bands? I'll do it for 10 bands. That changed my life right now. Okay, all right.
I'm not making the offer.
Yeah,
but
hey,
just trying to see what's going on.
Ain't no way I'll be out there, my behind frozen to them seats. I think they got bleachers. They have bleachers?
I mean,
don't
they
even know.
got seats.
Oh, okay. All right. The Giants have fired assistant D-line coach Brian Cox during the bye season. The final straw was his reaction to the seating arrangements being changed on the flight home from the Patriots game. The Giants got blown out that game, by the way. When the assistant coaches were moved from the front of the plane to the back. Losing your job over your seat, take it or leave it.
I mean, I'm going to leave it. I don't understand people sometimes. I get that. I mean, we're talking about Brian Cox, the former linebacker, right?
Yeah, he might have been in the NFL. I just know he's the D-line coach that got fired.
Yeah, he's probably got a bunch of money anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But, like, who cares if you're on the front of the plane or the back of the plane? I realize it takes a little bit longer to get off the plane if you're on the back. But
it's still private flight.
I just don't care. Like, I do not care. It's that people tend to care about things that I find so insignificant. It's bizarre to me. And I'm certainly not losing my job over it, like throwing a fit. Like I can see a situation where you would rather sit in the front maybe, but to like throw a fit over it, just chill out. Chill out.
Cost him his job over this seating arrangement. So, Eagles coach Nick Sirianni said Jalen Hurts is absolutely his starter for Sunday's game against the Las Vegas Raiders, and he called it ridiculous when the possibility of making a change at some point this season if Hurts continues to struggle. Are Eagles fans insane for wanting the former Super Bowl MVP benched already? Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. I get it. He's not playing well.
Yes.
Like, I get it. I understand. That was an awful game that he just played. Like, you're talking about multiple turnovers on one play.
Yeah.
He was awful. I get it. But, like, he's not proven to be awful. He just is playing awful. He couldn't figure it out. I mean, you hope that they've had a lot of different offensive coaches there because they keep getting poached for head coaching jobs.
Yes.
But I think you got to dance with the girl that brung you there, and he's the guy. So I'm not suggesting everyone should be in an awesome mood, but what have we talked about in Baton Rouge? That you always want the next guy, always want the backup, always want the backup. Well, you wanted the backup for Jaden Daniels after Florida State.
Yeah.
Then Garrett Nussmeier took over, and you wanted the backup, and then Michael Van Buren took over, and you're like, well, this guy's not any good. It's like Jalen Hurts is a pretty good player, so I'd probably play with him.
Yeah, no, it's insane that they're even calling for this. If the Saints won the Super Bowl, it will be crickets about benching the quarterback, even if he starts playing bad. So, maybe expectations.
Now, there's a point of diminishing returns where, like, I didn't think that Bobby Bowden and Joe Paterno should have just been able to just stand on the sideline with no headset because they won a national championship 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, there comes a time where you have to make changes for the better part of the organization.
Yeah.
Like, we're not there with Jalen Hurts right now.
Yeah, and they just won a Super Bowl this calendar year. So it's like, Eagle fans are, they're one of one. So that's it for Take It or Leave It.
All right, that's it for Take It or Leave It. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us here on this Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. We're brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools, built by Renaissance.com. A lot that we got to today, so let me kind of go through it because we hit a lot of different topics. Opened the show talking about a mock draft with the New Orleans Saints and whether or not they should go offensive line again. I gave my thoughts on that. You can listen to it, Hunt on Saints on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. We appreciate it if you do that. Matthew Bruni, we're going to talk to him on Wednesdays about LSU basketball. It's just a big game on Saturday for LSU against SMU. We also got his thoughts on the debacle on Sunday where LSU got torched by Texas Tech. So check that out. What If Wednesday at 1:30, and then at the end of the hour, LSU and Charlie Weiss inked a new contract that makes him the highest paid offensive coordinator in the SEC. At 2 o'clock today, so top of the second hour, I went for 16 straight minutes on LSU baseball, what I learned about the fall. You can listen to that on demand. You can go read about it at louisianasports.net. Juwan Johnson's in the portal. JD Pickell is with us as well. So all that on demand, Hunt Palmer Show, wherever you find your sound. Matt's going to drive you home next one after further review. We're back tomorrow, same time, same place, with Thursday edition.
The Hunt Palmer Show.